Ready?
Okay, we're ready to rock and roll.
I would like to call the Zion City Council meeting to order. Clerk, please call roll.
Commissioner Holmes? Here. Commissioner McDowell?
Here.
Commissioner Fisher?
Here.
Commissioner Frierson?
Here.
Mayor McKinney?
Here. I've got help tonight. So these young ladies are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. We all stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was a terrific job. Given that I've had so much calling the meetings to order since I've become mayor, I'm glad that we had help within our community tonight. Congratulations on your awards there. Thank you very much. Rachel, Avery, and Danielle. Would like to call Mr. Junaid Latif forward to lead us in prayer this evening.
Peace to all. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Thank you, Mayor McKinney and City Council members. On behalf of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community of Zion, I'd like to express our deepest appreciation for another opportunity to publicly express our sincere prayers for Zion and its residents. In Islam, the collective prayer is the most valuable prayer because it amplifies the prayers of the participants and it draws the congregation closer as a community and betters our collective experiences. In a time when there are so many things that divide us, moments like these are invaluable to a community seeking a future that provides progress and opportunity for all its citizens. So with that said, I'll begin our prayer. It's customary in Islam to offer a silent prayer so everyone has an opportunity to pray in their own way and for their common good. So I'll announce the prayer that I'll be offering, followed by a moment of silence for everyone to pray or reflect in their own way. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful. I'll be praying to thank God for giving our City Council another opportunity to discuss the business of our community. I pray that all the decisions made will have a positive impact on all of us and will develop a greater harmony in our community. I will also pray for our civil servants and that we as citizens can all acknowledge the tremendous responsibilities they shoulder and have patience with them as they work to identify courses of action that will best impact the communities that they are accountable for. Finally, during this first City Council meeting of our school year, I'll be praying for our school students and officials. May our gracious God guide them and bless their efforts with outcomes that guarantee bright futures for all the families that our schools impact. Please join me in a silent prayer. In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful. Ameen. Thank you.
Item number 5, agenda changes. Any agenda changes by any of the commissioners? Is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
Make a motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Holmes? Aye. Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Frierson? Aye. Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item number 6, special presentation, Jubilee Day Parade Awards. Mr. Walker, would you come forward and do the honors for us.
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. And I'd like to start off with speaking on behalf of the Jubilee Days Festival Committee and the Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank the City of Zion for all of its support, both monetary and logistical, for the Jubilee Days Festival, including essential in-kind services from the Zion Police Department, the Zion Fire and Rescue Department, and Zion ESDA. On my own behalf, I'd like to thank those members of the Jubilee Days Commission who helped me put together the events and the activities of the parade of the weekend, not including the parade, I should say, especially Clerk Cheryl Spooner, Chief Kirk Henderson, and Chief John Lewis, who helped a great deal in making sure that the weekend's events go off as planned. So on with the awards. Our first award is what we refer to as the Specialty Award, and this goes to that unit, best exemplifying effort and enthusiasm. And the 2019 Specialty Award goes to My Father's Business. Well, I'm not sure anybody is here for My Father's Business.
Chief, would you take...
Photoshop magic. Perfect.
Our next award is the Theme Prize in recognition of that unit that best exemplifies the theme of this year's parade, which was celebrating the big screen. And this year's award goes to the Lake County Community Pageant Queens. Our next prize is the President's Choice in recognition of that unit judged to be the most original. And the 2019 award goes to Cub Scout Pack 663. I think we have a couple of scouts here too. So.
Sorry about the podium, but I can't remember. Wait a minute, don't move. Try to go here. Well, look, give me.
Okay. Thank you.
You want to sit and watch? Teach me how to tie some knots.
Our next award is the Jubilee Director's Choice. In recognition of that unit judged to be the best musical entry, this year's award goes to North Point Church Worship Band. And I'm not sure there's anybody here from North. Well, congratulations to North Point Church.
They're practicing this evening.
Yes, they're rehearsing. Yeah, I see. Our next award is the Sweepstakes Trophy. In recognition of that unit judged to be the best in presenting animation and or humor. And this year's winner goes to Cornerstone Realty Group. I have Larry Stevens, Deb Liebel, and Jennifer Lewis here tonight.
How are you? Good. Congratulations. Oh, you want me in this?
Yeah, come on out.
All right. If they threaten you, then they threaten me. We wouldn't want you to be threatened, Mr.
You're welcome. Thank you. Our next award is the Grand Jubilee Trophy. In recognition of that unit judged to be the most beautiful. And this year's award goes to the 2019 Zion Queens. And our final award tonight is the Mayor's Trophy. In recognition of that unit judged to be the best overall entry in the 2019 Jubilee Days Festival Parade. This unit was a first-time participant in the parade, and I hope they keep coming back, but that goes to the Associated Wholesale Grocers of Kenosha, Wisconsin. Thank you. That's all I have.
Again, congratulations to all the award winners. Also like to thank our Zion Queens, Little Miss Zion, Rachel Harvey, Junior Miss Zion, Avery Shogren, and Teen Miss Zion, Danielle McDonald, for starting off our city council meeting tonight. And Jewel Woodward couldn't make it because she is Miss Zion. She's in college, so she couldn't be here tonight. For her master's. Before we proceed to our item number 7, I would also like to take a moment of time here to recognize Rich Walker. That looks like that doesn't look like I don't want to be acknowledged, but we have to after you've given us 33 years of service in organizing the Zion Jubilee Days. And everyone knows that in Zion, Jubilee Days has been such a part of our city. And we know you're moving on to retiring. I see you've got your boot off now, so you're going to be back to activities, normal activities. But we want to thank you for those 33 years of dedication and hard work and bringing an event to our community that means so much to us each and every year. We should be giving you an award for that, because as we put on events and things happen throughout the city, one of the things that sometimes these events just magically appear, but then there's so much work that goes on behind the scenes. I know, Rich, you acknowledge Cheryl Spooner and Chief Henderson and Chief Lewis for the work that they do, but we also know there's countless people that help you behind the scenes to make sure this happens, and the event is a first-class event. And from extending my warm regards from the council and everyone, the citizens throughout Zion, thank you very much for what you have done for our city and what you continue to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I've talked to Marilyn Krieger at the Park District. I know there's going to be 3 rounds of golf for you involved. Right, Marilyn? Absolutely. Item number 8.
7.
Item number 7. I always want to skip this number 7, but lucky number 7 is citizens' comments. Can't forget those. Gotta put my glasses on. You told me that before the day started. W.E. Bremner, Zion, Illinois.
Mayor McKinney, gentle ladies, honorable sirs, last week Administrator Knable gave a little talk about the Zion billing system for the Zion water system, and in the past in these chambers you have at least discussed the linings of water mains as they leak. In Saturday's Chicago Tribune, there is an item. Mayor Lightfoot of the city of Chicago has determined to begin lining the Chicago water mains. Apparently, she has been reading the minutes of these proceedings here and has decided to follow Zion's lead. Have I permission to approach, sir?
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
I do thank you for your time, your attention to this matter. Permission to stand down.
Permission granted. Item number 8. That's all citizen comments. Let me put my glasses on just to make sure. Yes, that's it.
Approval of minutes of a regular meeting held on September 3rd, 2019 at 7 p.m.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll. I was reading the article.
Commissioner Holmes? Aye. Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye.
Bills, vouchers 132-921 through 133-023, drawn on Huntington National Bank, total $376,152.94.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Holmes? Aye. Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item 8C is a proclamation for Buddy Poppy Day, September 27th, 28th, and 29th, 2019. Whereas the annual distribution of Buddy Poppies by the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States has been officially recognized and endorsed by government leaders since 1922, and whereas VFW Buddy Poppies are assembled by disabled veterans, and the proceeds of this worthy fundraising campaign are used exclusively for the benefit of disabled and needy veterans and the widows and orphans of deceased veterans, and whereas the basic purpose of the annual distribution of the Buddy Poppies by the Veterans of Foreign Wars is eloquently reflected in the desire to honor the dead by helping the living. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Billy McKinney, and the City Council of the City of Zion, do hereby urge the citizens of this community to recognize the merits of this cause by contributing generously to its support through your donation for Buddy Poppies on the day set aside, September 27th, 28th, and 29th, 2019, for the distribution of these symbols of appreciation for the sacrifices of our honored dead. Be it further resolved that the City Council urges all patriotic citizens to wear Buddy Poppy as mute evidence of our gratitude to the men and women of this country who have risked their lives in defense of the freedoms which we continue to enjoy as American citizens. Dated this 17th day of September 2019, Mayor Billy McKinney.
I'll make a motion that we approve this proclamation.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Holmes? Aye. Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item 9, considering passing ordinance as follows. 9A, to lease certain property approximately 2,434 square feet situated on the 18th Street right-of-way adjacent to 1721 North Sheridan Road for the purpose of having paved access to tenant parking per Director Ianson.
Thank you, Your Honor. When the scene ventures purchased the property, they did meet the requirements for the minimal parking standards.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
If you want to contribute today, we got copies of it.
All right.
This is the annual renewal for the lease.
Mayor, did you want a picture with them up there or no?
Yes. Okay. Let's Director Ianson, let's hold for a second and we'll get a picture with the for the poppies and come on up. We'll get a picture.
Perfect. Right there, right there. One more, right there. Thank you so much.
You're going to have to catch
How
them.
much I like here, I got it. They clear me out or whatever they want. Yeah, okay, that's for you guys, yeah. There you go.
Okay, we're covered.
Thank you, sir.
There you go.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She just gave it 20 for everything.
Did you put some money in for me, Donna? 'Cause
Thank you all again.
Thank you. Director Ianson, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. To meet the requirements for Lucerne Ventures, the parking requirements, they requested to lease a portion of 18th Street right away. This is the annual renewal for that.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Holmes? Aye. Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson? Aye. Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item 9B, authorizing Third Amendment to water supply contract with the Lake County Public Water District per Administrator Nagel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Every year, we get part of the contract with the Water District is we have a repair and replacement charge. The way the contract's written, they spread that out over 9 months. Accounting-wise and just budgeting and tracking-wise, it's easier to do that over 12 months. So every year, we just do a amendment to the original contract, just saying that we're changing the 9 months to 12 months. So this is the third amendment, each one saying the same thing.
Make a motion to accept the third amendment to the water supply contract.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Holmes? Aye. Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson? Aye. Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item 9C, granting a special use permit to manufacture hemp cigarettes and assemble and store items containing hemp at the property located at 2701 Deborah Avenue, zoning docket 19-Z-3 per Director Ianson. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval.
Thank you, Your Honor. In 2018, the state of Illinois passed the Industrial Hemp Act, legalizing the use of hemp products. Cal Incorporated is seeking a special use permit for manufacturing hemp cigarettes and assemble and store items containing hemp at the property located at 2701 Deborah Ave. At the September 5th, 2019 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, they recommended to approve the special use permit.
Is there a motion?
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll. Is there discussion?
Only just for the sake of clarification, and please correct me if I'm wrong about this, but hemp products are not the same as cannabis products, is that correct?
That is correct.
So there's no THC in hemp products?
There's a minute amount. There's 0.3%. I think is the standard. It's that as well.
There's typically 0 delta 9 THC, and that's the one that gives someone a buzz.
Okay. So this is just like manufacturing cigarettes or something along those lines, except there's no addictive component to hemp products.
And the question I asked when I attended the meeting, I asked if hemp was a controlled substance, because I wasn't familiar, and it is not.
Any further discussion or questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson? Aye. Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item 10, discussion, authorization, and approval. 10A, consider proposal from Partners in Design Architects for feasibility study for Old Township Building per Director Ianson.
Thank you, Your Honor. The old township building has been vacant and deteriorating for over 10 years. We need to determine if it can be a viable use for a future tenant or be demolished. Cartman Design Architects have proposed a feasibility study conducted by them and their engineering consultant, Hanson and Associates and Southport Engineering. Staff is recommending that we accept Cartman Design Architects' feasibility study proposal for the amount of $4,890. This is a budget line item for public property 1006 102 151.
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion?
Only just one. Did we have a plan a few years ago to do something with that section of the building, like tear it down? I'm just going off of memory of that.
There's been a couple occasions we considered demolition. We just never pursued it.
So is it, this study is to see if it's possible to rehab it?
Correct.
And Commissioner McDowell, we've also had several entities that have been interested in leasing out the space behind us, should we be able to renovate it. So we've been doing some diligence with those different organizations to do so, which is a good reason for the study as well.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item 10B, consider approval of contract for the financing for a purchase of a Vector truck per Administrator Naval.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Back at the August 6th council meeting, you had a proposal for a financing agreement for some capital equipment that was budgeted. And I said I'd come back once we actually had the contract and the underwriting. What you have before you is the proposal for the purchase of a Vector truck. And it is a budget, the payments are a budgeted item, and I would recommend approval of the contract as presented.
Make a motion to approve this contract for a Vector truck.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Discussion?
I think
There's a discussion, I'm sorry.
only Director Roberts, could you tell us what a Vector truck is used for, please?
It's for hydro excavating, so if we have a water main break, instead of backhoeing, we can use that to hydro excavate. Also, it also has a jetter on the front for cleaning out sanitary sewers, storm sewers, so if there's backups, we put that in there to clean it out and try and break out the blockage that's in the line.
Sewer lines backed up, Vector trucks are valuable.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
I think our current truck is about 120 years old, runs on hamster power, so.
About the same as about the same as our water mains. then.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
This is something that has been long awaited. Been wanting to get this one for a while.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item 10C, consider approval of contract for the financing for purchase and outfitting of 5 squad cars per Administrator Naval.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. As you mentioned, this was a separate contract for the purchase of 5 squad cars. This is replacing 2 squads that were actually totaled through accidents that were no fault of the city. We recovered some of the cost of that, but not sufficient to replace the vehicles. The other 3 squads have over 150,000 miles on them, and we've stretched them to the extent of their life and beyond. So, again, these are sorely needed replacements. These were also part of the proposals back in the beginning of August.
Make a motion to approve the contract for the purchase and outfitting of the 5 squad cars.
Second.
Is there discussion?
What's the purpose of this?
And what will happen? What will happen to the cars that are being put out of service?
They will probably be declared as surplus property in Clinton Auto Auction. Our history has been that in the past, when we tried to auction those off, we do not get anywhere close to value, any kind of value, negligible value. And so Clinton Auto Auction, the same vendor we used for our K9 vehicle that we put down last council meeting.
Okay.
we used.
And the kind of items that will be used for outfitting the cars, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, so all the way from radar units to prisoner barricade partitions between the officers and the prisoners, emergency lights, and everything like that.
They keep me in the back better with the barricades, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson? Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item 10D, discussion regarding amending Chapter 94 of the Zion Municipal Code regarding utilities per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioner. As Mr. Brenner referred to, I did a presentation a week ago discussing some of our water infrastructure and trying to educate some of the public as to what we're dealing with here. And I'll just hit some of the highlights without going into too much detail because I just don't. It's kind of overwhelming sometimes when you look at this. We talk about streets a lot, but what we don't talk about is what's underground that you don't necessarily see on a daily basis. Just for information, the city has 111 miles of water main within its borders, 106 miles of sanitary sewer, and 95 miles of storm drains. So you're talking about 300 miles of utilities buried underground, 60% of which is 50 years or older. 20% of our water mains are actually in the 100-year range, which is, as we are good at doing, well beyond the life that's expected for a municipality. To give perspective, to replace water mains, it's about $300 a linear foot, so you're looking at replacing 1 mile of water main costs about $1.5 million, $1.5 million. We have 20 miles that's 100 years old, so you'd have to spend $1.5 million for the next 20 years just to replace that oldest main. By then, your 1940s main is now 100 years old, and you're nowhere near catching up with what you need to do. Unfortunately, we have, in an effort to try and keep the rates down, water rates have not included infrastructure costs in budgeting. From 2003 to 2013, that's a 10-year period, there was no rate increase in our water and sewer rates. Meanwhile, operating costs continued to increase during that time. I mean, cost of labor, cost of materials, fuel, etc. So there was no rate increase during that time, and then in 2014, we did increase that to catch up with the operating costs. Again, that was just operating costs, no infrastructure as part of that rate that was budgeted. Then later on, 2016, the Lake County Public Water District, who is where we buy all of our water from, they charge us for that. They had to do a huge project on the intake pipe out of Lake Michigan. We're about 75% of their customer base, so we bear 75% of that infrastructure cost. They issued bonds. We pay about $720,000 a year in principal and interest that they basically pass through to us as a charge. We had to increase the rates at that point to address the debt service. Again, still not addressing infrastructure. Unfortunately, during that time, we're looking at almost a 15-year period. Infrastructure continued to age during that time frame. Just this past winter season, we've mentioned it before, 57 main breaks. We've had quite a few even since then, just due to aging infrastructure, cracks, stuff's crumbling underground. It's just old. Additionally, we have water losses of approximately 18%. And when we talk about water loss, that's like your toilet running at home. A lot of water can go through there by just that thing running. We might have small cracks and holes in our infrastructure that just are leaking all the time. We have to pay for that water usage to the Lake County Public Water District, but there's no end user to bill for that, so that water loss gets built into the rate. The EPA is coming down on us for that water loss. It's too high of a percentage. Again, that's due to aging infrastructure that we haven't replaced. So what we need to do is, unfortunately, address that infrastructure. We looked at surrounding communities as well as even beyond. Beach Park currently is at a $9.25 for water and sewer. We're at $7.55. Winthrop Harbor, they're at $6.80, which is below ours, but they added a $27 quarterly fee when the Lake County Public Water District did their bonds. $27 went on to every user quarterly. So if you say the average usage is 10,000 gallons a quarter, that's an extra $2.70 per 1,000 gallons. So their total rate equates to about $9.50 per thousand. Again, we're at $7.55. There was a study done in 2015 that I had for everywhere from Addison to Zion, a couple hundred municipalities actually, and in 2015, the average water rate was $7.97. Our water portion alone is $5.60, so we were $2.30 below the average in 2015. 2010, the average water rate was $5.22. Our water rate's about at the 2010 rate. Again, got kind of behind the times by not investing in infrastructure. So we're about 20% below surrounding communities. So we need to start addressing this, and looking at our infrastructure as a whole. There's no way to address this without just taking small bites at this. And I'm going to talk about a rate increase here, and there's no way to hide that. But when you look at, I did a calculation for the mayor just before the meeting. When you look at 60% of our mains being over 50 years or more, at $1.5 million per mile, you're talking almost $100 million infrastructure liability that we're talking about throwing $1.5 million at a year just to start addressing some of that. The reason we're doing this now is we are trying to leverage, well, not only all the main breaks that we've had, but we're also trying to leverage this money into bigger projects. So we've been having discussions with the Illinois EPA, looking at different programs, loan programs, grant programs, to try and get more bang for the buck so we can take this money, do a larger project, and get what's basically the equivalent of grants to try and expend some of this, so it's not all just on the residents' residents' burden. So we're going to try and generate about $900,000 of revenue a year with this. Some of that we're going to do slip lining projects with, just annual maintenance, and the rest we're going to try and leverage into doing $1.5 million project if we can every year. We probably need to do about 5 times that to start gaining ground on this, but it's a start. So what I'm recommending is that, we'll have a second reading on this on October 1st as well, but I'm recommending a $1.60 per thousand increase here, and that gets us at $9.15 per thousand overall, which is still a little below surrounding communities, but comparable. But I'm also earmarking that has to be used for infrastructure improvements. So we're basically creating a restriction internally to say the revenue that comes in, we'll be able to track, basically accumulate into a pool and show how much is earmarked for that infrastructure and how much is used on an annual basis. The way I came up with the $900,000 a year is I basically took the debt service from the public water district as well as the bonds, the other bonds we have outstanding. We pay about $900,000 a year in principal and interest. And I'm saying we're going to add that amount to the rate to cover that. So we're freeing up the amount we're paying in debt service to be used for infrastructure, which we should have budgeted for all along. So it's a lot of information I'm throwing at you at once. I kind of went through it fast, but I've been speaking this for a while, so it's kind of second nature to me.
David,
I would ask you to open up to
if we were to kind of summarize this, would you say that what's driving this really is the debt service from the Lake County Public Water because of the structural issues with their intake pipe? So they're passing that debt on to us, and that's put us in a position where we're taking money that would go to infrastructure, and we're using it to pay down the debt that Lake County is passing on to us.
We've always been behind on the rate, and when we did the rate increases, unfortunately that additional revenue couldn't go to infrastructure because it had to go to the debt service.
Yeah. So this does free up funds to go towards infrastructure.
Correct.
I guess that's how I like to look at it. That we've been passed on a cost from Lake County Public Water due to an issue that took place out in Lake Michigan. The flow of sand has changed, and it's disrupted the intake pipe that brings us our water. And because of that debt that's being passed on to us, we don't have the same money that we would for infrastructure. And I wouldn't normally approve rate increases, but I understand this one because this debt is coming from Lake County, passing it on to us, and then reducing the amount of money we would have for infrastructure.
Right.
And considering what other municipalities pay for water, we're right within the same categories as other municipalities. So I guess I can make a motion that we approve this water rate adjustment.
Or we're just up for discussion today.
What's that?
We'll have a second read for approval on October 1st.
This is just for discussion tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not voting on anything tonight.
Just one of the comments, Commissioner McDowell, thank you for your comments regarding this. At our mayor's luncheon this past week, Senator Melinda Bush was there, and one of the things that she was talking about that I had brought up in one of my points during my time to talk was the need for us to invest in our community. And she was talking on it on so many levels, on the micro level of just even people in town, if you're buying things, buy within your community, whether it's a cup of coffee, whether it's going to your hardware store, food, whatever it is, because that money stays within our community to be able to support us and do the things that we need to do for our residents and for our community. So instead of looking at it as an increase, I look at it as an investment. And it's something that we haven't done for quite some time. As Commissioner McDowell noted, and has stood firm on this since we've been on the council together. Don't particularly like increases, but this is something that if we don't address this issue by investing in our community, not only are we going to continue to face these issues, but long after we are off of the council and possibly in the best place, as Commissioner McDowell would say, not the better place, the best place, then we're going to continue to have these issues, and it's time for us to address it now and stop, as the term that I love that Administrator Nabel uses quite a bit, we can't keep kicking the can down the road. Commissioner Friars.
Question. So you mentioned about earmarking the funds. So what can we do to ensure that, since this is a long-term investment, that those funds continue to be restricted? Is there any additional steps we can take for that?
Yeah, so it's an accounting procedure, but what we'll have on the, basically the income statement for the water fund, we'll have a separate line that shows water revenue infrastructure, that will see how much is coming in, and then on the financial statements, there'll actually be a restricted fund balance for infrastructure. So that if we, the goal is that this will go into effect January 1st, because you pay for water for your bill retro or after the fact for water. So January's bill will be for October, November, December water. So we don't want to put a rate in effect now that's actually retroactive. So let's say we collect $300,000 from January to April. We'll start budgeting infrastructure improvements for next year, but you'll see at the end of this year $300,000 restricted. So then if we collect $900,000 next year, you'll see $900,000 coming in, so it's $1.2 million, but we might have an $800,000 water main project. So it'll be a rolling restricted fund balance in that fund's financial statement, so that you can see the ins and outs and the accumulated effect of it.
Administrator Nabel, I had a question too. You mentioned that we have an 18% loss of water. What's the normal rate of loss in a community, and how does that add up to dollars and cents when you start talking about this water loss that we have?
IEPA is requiring us by the end of 2020 to be at 10%.
Trying to chop that rate in half is a major task without addressing infrastructure. Director Roberts has already gone, I think, he's getting quotes on the leak detection survey to try to address that.
We put together a plan where we're going out. You'll be seeing that come to in front of you probably in November. A leak detection proposal request to go out and get a contractor for that. We through IPA on that. We're going through meters, replacing older meters we're trying to do in-house also to affect that.
For the loss, that equates to about 8 to 10 million gallons a month of loss, with the amount of volume of water that comes through the system. So lost revenue on the end billing is, what do we say, between $700,000 and $900,000 a year. That's literally, well, I guess not going down the drain, it's just going into the ground. So, like I said, that's also, that loss factor is also built into the rate. So if we get that under control, that's less we're paying for the supply, which will be less that we have to build into the rate in the future, plus just the environmental effects and the undermining of erosion and sinkholes and things like that. So it is an investment in ourselves that we have to do. You can look at your water bill and look at the usage you have on a quarterly basis, but for the average user, what this basically translates to is about $7 a month or $20 a quarter. But you can look at the 1,000 gallons usage. If you have 10,000 gallons, it's going to be $16 quarterly impact. So obviously that varies from place to place. But the way we did it, the reason we did it this way, that we're talking about per thousand rather than a quarterly charge like what the Harbor did, is we have a lot more commercial businesses, and we also have big variances in community demographics. So we didn't want everyone to pay the same flat fee. You might have, a person living on their own using 4,000 gallons, and somebody with a family of 5 using 20,000 gallons. We wanted to say that this is based on usage, not everyone paying that same amount of the burden. So we tied it into the usage amount to be more equitable with the charge.
Is there further discussion?
David, maybe you can just cover that briefly, that when we're talking about leveraging these funds, this is as a result of the capital bill, and that there's a whole section on water projects, and that's why we're having discussions with the IEPA.
Yeah, I mean, if we can't rely on federal or state help, we're going to have to address this ourselves. But we also want to position ourselves so that as these funds come through, we have the matching funds available to be able to maximize those funds and take advantage of them. It's a lot like Director Roberts did with the FAU grants, where we have a 20% match. We use MFT to try and get $1 million project for a couple $100,000. We want to be able to do that with this as well, but also kind of take control of our own destiny. If we can't get those funds for whatever reason, we still need to start addressing the issues.
I guess the only other question, so with infrastructure projects, is it the same engineering requirements or something similar for infrastructure as it is for road work?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Being that it's a distribution system, it all has to go through IEPA and approved.
So what I have to do is yeah, okay.
Yeah. And right now, I believe it's taking a year. You can submit a project today, and it'll be a year before it can get approved.
City Clerk, may I proceed?
Yes.
Item 10E, consider appointments to the Nostalgia Days Commission per Mayor McKinney. We've had a couple of people that have bowed out of the Nostalgia Days, and we have a couple people that have volunteered their services. Bob Pataki and Charlie Black are very interested in becoming part of the commission for Nostalgia Days. And do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item 11, departmental commentary, starting off with our Human Resources Director, Karen Graves.
Thank you, sir. We continue to post opportunities that we have available on our website. So if you are someone that's interested in a position
Director Ryanson?
Thank you, Your Honor. We're about halfway through our demolitions. We just finished up our second one in the last couple of days. We'll be packing up the equipment, moving to the third site here towards the end of the week, so we'll continue to take down the demolitions.
Director Roberts?
Our alley project that was supposed to start on the 16th has been delayed for a week. It is scheduled to start on the 23rd. The delay has been through the Julie locates. They're about 2-3 weeks behind, and also the recent weather we've had is causing that delay also. City crews, the street crews are starting this week. We're going to try and do a massive patching. We're starting on the south end of town and going through every alley all the way to the north end. We're looking at a hard push to try and get this done prior to winter and do all this patching with hot mix. And hopefully that will stay in a lot better than the cold mix during the winter. If you have potholes in your alley, you still want to call them in, but please understand that we're trying to do a massive sweep right now too. Now, if we get pulled off, the whole crew is going out there, so if another storm hits, they may have to jump a week or whatever because of any storms or any emergencies. Last meeting, it was asked about leaf pickup. I did contact Advance. Tentative dates on that is going to be starting the week of the 28th of October. There'll be 4 pickups, so it'll be 1 week, the last week in October, and then 3 weeks in November. We typically do 4 pickups in the fall, and then we'll turn around and do 2 more in the spring.
Director Roberts, with the leaf pickup, again, I think this is something that we will try to reiterate and get out on Facebook. With the leaf pickup, the leaves should not be, they should be on the parkway. And
yes, sir. Piled in the parkway, not in the street gutters. Advance is not, within their contract, they do not vacuum the gutters. They did that last year, per me crying and whining to them.
You did a good job.
They did it. I don't know if they'll take me again. They may just throw me out the door this time.
And one of the reasons that's so essential to know the difference is what happens is the leaves, when they're not in the parkway and they're on the streets, they go right into the drains. And with the amount of rain that we've had, I think we're talking about this, we've had 10 inches of rain in September.
Just in that last storm, sir, so far from the county, we had 12 inches in 4 days. They also put a bulletin out, revised their bulletin on, it's called a Bulletin 70, and it's on Illinois rainfall. And it talks about the rainfalls within northeastern Illinois. Their studies are saying that we are seeing a 20 to 45% increase in storms in the last 5 years. And
Nope.
It's going to continue.
There's been no climate change, though, of course, to impact that. Anyway, another question I had for you, how much patching have we done this summer? Because I have received some calls about our residents haven't been absolutely pleased with the patching work that has been done, but I think for you to give us a little bit of a number if you can. I know
That wasn't ready for this.
Wait, you texted this information to me, so I actually have it.
Oh,
here.
good.
I was just checking your memory because you texted me the same information.
I can already tell you my memory doesn't last 2 seconds.
All right. CRS Club.
Yes.
I'm part of that one, too.
All right, what do we got here? Oh, and you've sent me so much stuff, I can't believe it. All right, so about 6,000 square yards, about 60 tons of asphalt in potholes and cutouts. Yep, that's what you sent me.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
6,000 square yards.
That was through the contracted patching.
Yeah,
the
right.
Square yard.
Oh, and then approximately 60 tons
60
for
tons of
in-house.
asphalt that's in-house, that's between cutouts and pothole patching.
And I know this goes back to something you were talking about, Administrator Nabel, but Director Roberts, the cost to do one alley, when people call us about, and we all get the calls, all the commissioners get calls about repairing alleys, what's the average cost to repair an alley?
The cost varies, and it all depends on the condition of the alley. So if we have an alley that's in halfway decent shape, we usually get away with around $30,000 to $40,000 in a resurface. If it's requiring, just like the alley we're getting ready to do under this program, require drainage also, that's a $290,000 project. But we're also doing an 8-inch cutout because of the base material was so bad too. And you have to look at these alleys as it's not just the cars of people's vehicles. The alleys were never built to withstand a garbage truck. So that's why a lot of these alleys are getting beat up so bad. So once they start cracking and the water gets in there and then you get the freeze thaw, it starts busting these alleys all apart. So once the base gets soft, then it creates where you have to go to the more expensive fix.
And the wetter the conditions, the more the garbage weighs, from what I've been told from someone from Advanced Disposal as well.
What's that?
So the wetter the conditions are from a temperature standpoint, climate standpoint, the heavier the garbage becomes in the trucks, which impacts the alleys.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why you see the heave in the middle of the alleys and it just starts breaking the rust.
Okay. Thank you, Director Roberts. Administrator Nabel.
Two quick things. One I already touched on, but for those that don't know, I'm doing a monthly, what I call a dollars and cents presentation. It's the second Tuesday of every month, 6 o'clock at It's All Good. Topics vary from tax bills to economic development to water infrastructure on this last one. So if you have something you'd like to know about, let me know. I typically try and present the information and leave as much room as possible for questions and answers, and it doesn't have to be about a topic. It can just be city operations in general, reasons why we do what we do. So feel free, that's open to everyone. One other item is the Township Assessor Larry Wickets is putting together a presentation on October 1st at 5:30. It's understanding your assessment. He's going to be providing information on how he does his assessments, how to file property tax appeals, and we will have different representatives from taxing bodies, myself included, there to, he's probably going to have about 15 minutes of presentation, and then there'll be 45 minutes for just questions and answers about tax bills, how rates are calculated, how levies work, whatever questions you might have. I believe Representative Mason will be there as well. But feel free to come out October 1st at 5:30 to get some more information on that. Here. Yes.
Chief Lewis, thank you, Director.
So as most of us know,
I'm done.
So as most of us know, we're sitting here at the last council meeting about 3 miles away. A tornado touched down, picked up quickly and went over the lake as a water spout. And in the middle of last week, sirens went off for a tornado or a severe storm on the western part of the county that was tracking in our direction. So the sirens did not go off last Tuesday when we were at the last council meeting, just because it was here and gone before anybody would have had time to activate a siren. That's how Mother Nature works. But I thought I'd cover our tornado sirens since it's kind of a timely topic now. So we have 4 sirens in town. They're located at 28th and Sheridan, right up here on top of City Hall, 17th and Sheridan, the 2000 block of Joppa, and there's one out in Jordan Park and Lorelei. So at the corner of Lorelei and Franklin, we're in a park. The sirens are tested the first Tuesday of each month at 10 a.m. and they run for 1 minute. And then members of our ESDA pretty much, I don't know, what do you guys do out there? Lou, do you just sit in the car and listen?
Make sure it rotates.
Yep, there's one at each siren in town, and when it goes off at 10 o'clock, they make sure it goes off, and they send me an email telling me whether it went off or if it didn't go off. If it doesn't go off, then we send it to our vendor for the sirens and get it looked at. But there's 2 alerts on all our sirens. One is the one that we're used to hearing. It's the long, steady tone. That's for a weather emergency. The one that, well, at least I've never heard it, probably nobody in here hopefully has heard it, is that up and down tone that you see in all the war movies. That's the sound that goes off if there's an attack on the town. So if Homeland Security thinks there's an imminent attack on Zion, you're going to hear that up and down tone, and that's going to go off. Anytime the siren activates for a real emergency, it's going to go off for 3 minutes. So we have a siren policy within the city that dictates who can set it off. So our sirens can be set off, and most of the time are set off by the Village of Gurnee. That's our dispatch center. They set off our council. We can also set them off from Fire Station 1 or Fire Station 2. And they're set off on a National Weather Service emergency of a severe storm tracking in our area. If a police supervisor or fire department supervisor sees a funnel cloud, we'll set them off. And as the weather spotter sees it, we can set them off. Illinois State Police and Lake County Sheriff, they're all in our policy. So any of those notice some type of funnel cloud, we can activate the sirens. Winds greater than 70 miles an hour or hail greater than 1 3/4 inches, we'll set the sirens off. Remember, once the sirens go off, get in your basements, go to a place of protection. But remember, the sirens will never activate as an all clear. They only activate to warn you. There are very few communities will do an all clear. So to know when there's an all clear, it's a weather radio, local radio station, TV station, something that you might have coverage of that one. And then last but not least, if there is a storm in the area, some kind of alert on that first Tuesday of the month prior to 10 o'clock, they will not activate the radio siren. Questions? We hear it a lot. People will call on a first Tuesday of the month. What the heck's going on? The sirens are going off. It's usually someone new who's moved into town. But most states do it. In Wisconsin, I believe it's the third Tuesday of the month. I'm sorry, it's the third Saturday of the month at 10 a.m. You know, so those on the border might get a little confused when they hear them going off on a Saturday. You just kind of know.
And again, a lot of that is the notices are formed through our dispatch center in Gurnee, who's in contact with the National Weather Service.
Yeah, actually the sirens in Gurnee are set off automatically. They're tied into the National Weather Service.
Okay.
Our sirens are a bit older and don't have that technology. Ours are really, it's nothing more than a radio receiver sitting up on top of the siren pedestal. And then when dispatch hits a button, it sets off the tones that set off the siren.
Well, thanks for the update on the information, because I was one of the people that called Chief Lewis on a Tuesday and said, what's going on with the sirens? And lived in this community for quite a while, and those are good things to know.
If you work at City Hall on a Tuesday at 10 o'clock, you're pretty used to it. Either that or you're immune to it by now.
Chief Henderson?
Just wanted to draw the council's attention to something, and the citizens as well, just performance of one of our employees. As everybody knows, we had those torrential rains come through. Came through pretty heavy last Friday, the 13th. Multiple areas of town where intersections were flooded. Obviously, people had problems in their homes as well. One of the areas that was flooded was the intersection of 173 and Lewis Avenue. And Officer Mike Gilday was dispatched to that, got there as soon as he could. And I would not have known about this if Director Roberts hadn't shared with me, because he was also out responding with public works crews to these issues. When he got there, he found an empty squad car, but he didn't find the officer. So looked a little farther and found him with his boots off, his socks off, his pants rolled up, and trying to clear a storm drain. And I can tell you that's nowhere in his job description, but that's the quality of the employees that we hire here. This would not have come to my attention had Director Roberts not told me about it. Didn't do it for attention. I looked to see if we had it on body camera video or squad car video, because I would put it on our Facebook page. But that's just the example of the kind of work we get from our officers and the rest of the city employees.
Thank you. And that's kind of feeds into some of the commentary I have from my own end. Just at this luncheon, Senator Bush and I, a couple things that we talked about. Well, we have close to 120 employees here that work for the city. We have close to 25,000 residents. So when you start thinking about how you can help our community in an instance such as this, this is one of the things that each of us citizens can do. If you give your city, your neighborhood, your block 30 minutes a week of being able to possibly clean the drain out near your house, or after garbage day, as I see so many of my neighbors and people in different neighborhoods now walking and picking up trash in their neighborhoods, not because it's their neighborhood. They take pride in their neighborhood, and it's adding some value to our community. So if you can give our community 30 minutes a week of being able to help our employees with things of this nature, small in nature, but they really add up. They really add up. So thanks for that. We had the mayor's luncheon at Shepherd's Court, and one of the things that we talked about is that the mayors in the surrounding communities, Beach Park, Wadsworth, Winthrop Harbor, and Zion, the one thing that we all understand is that as issues impact one of our communities, they impact all of them. And we are working closely together with those different mayors and the staffs with the different city halls to come up with different initiatives and ideas of how we can each do things to kind of improve our communities, whether it's communication with our citizens or with it from department to department. Those things are very crucial, and I feel very privileged and honored to be able to serve with these mayors. Who we have a mayor's luncheon that we have, I think, every month, and a different mayor hosts it, and we talk about the issues in our community and different solutions to those. We had our 6th annual Community of Character Walk, which turned out to be great. The weather held out for us. We didn't get the rain that day, which was anticipated, and it was another nice event where Zion citizens turned out to meet members of our staff and different organizations within our community that will provide a helping hand for people that need help within our community.
Mr. Mayor, can I make a public service announcement?
You may.
In my 35 years with ESDA, I can't tell you how many vehicles float in the viaduct or in the streets because people ignore the barricades and they drive into them. Then we have open street until a tow truck comes and pulls that car out. We're fortunate here that we're not in a place where our roads wash away, but there are places where the whole road washes away, people drive in it, and people are killed. So please, if there's standing water or running water, do not drive in it, do not walk in it. Keep yourself safe and go another way. We're not out there just trying to mess up your day by blocking the street for you. We're trying to keep you safe, and it's, like I said, 35 years, I couldn't tell you how many cars have driven into stuff.
Thank you very much for that. Item number 12, announcements. October 1st, 7 p.m., Zion City Council meeting. October 15th at 6:15 p.m., there's a Zion Township Board meeting, and at 7 o'clock on October 15th, Zion City Council meeting. October 27th, we have our Zion Trick or Treat from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., and I expect all of our council members and department heads to be out in costume. Item number 13, adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Holmes? Aye. Commissioner McDowell? Aye. Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson? Mayor McKinney?
Aye.
I'm going to dress up like a commissioner.
How much did you give him for the bodies?